Look at the television screens during a World Cup. Look at the high-speed montage of celebrations. Look at the confetti falling, the flags waving, the politicians smiling in the VIP boxes. Now, mute the television, turn away from the stadium, and look at the cold, clinical, entirely empty corporate offices in Zurich. This is the reality of the Fédération Internationale de Football Association. We are conditioned to view FIFA as a sporting governing body. That is a fundamental error in categorization. FIFA is not a sports organization. It is a nomadic corporate nation-state, and it operates the single most ruthless, highly optimized financial extraction machine in modern history. In the summer of 2026, the World Cup will arrive in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The projected revenue for this month-long event is a staggering $11 billion. It will be the most lucrative sporting event ever broadcast. But here is the single most important metric you need to understand. Of that $11 billion in revenue, exactly $0 will be paid in local corporate taxes to the host cities. Welcome to the ultimate tax haven. It does not exist on an island in the Caribbean. It exists right in your city center, temporarily erected for 30 days before it packs up the circus tent and leaves you with the bill. I'm your auditor. Let's open the books on the greatest financial heist in global entertainment. To understand how a private corporation legally pillages a sovereign nation, you have to read the fine print of the host city agreement. When cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Mexico City submitted their bids to host the 2026 tournament, they were not entering a negotiation. They were signing a surrender document. The host city agreement is a draconian, non-negotiable legal contract. It outlines a parasitic relationship where the host assumes 100% of the operational liability and FIFA extracts 100% of the commercial yield. Let us deconstruct the specific mechanisms of this contract. First, sovereign guarantees. FIFA demands that the national and local governments legally underwrite the entire event. The city must pay for the militarized security perimeter. The city must pay for the transport infrastructure, the road closures, and the emergency services. If there is a budget overrun, the taxpayer covers the deficit. Second, the tax holiday. This is where the true financial genius of FIFA is revealed. FIFA demands total fiscal immunity. They enforce a blanket tax exemption not just for themselves, but for their entire corporate supply chain. If a local vendor sells a hot dog outside the stadium, they pay local sales tax. But when Coca-Cola, Visa, and Adidas generate hundreds of millions of dollars inside the FIFA fan zones, they are granted complete tax exemptions. No VAT, no corporate income tax, no import duties on their merchandise. The local government effectively subsidizes the profit margins of multinational conglomerates. Third, the intellectual property lockdown. During the tournament, FIFA establishes exclusion zones around the stadiums. Local businesses cannot use the word World Cup, 2026, or even specific funds without facing ruinous litigation. The city is commercially sterilized so that only FIFA's official partners can monetize the foot traffic. The city provides the land, the police, the sanitation, and the infrastructure. FIFA takes the ticketing revenue, the broadcasting revenue, the hospitality revenue, and the commercial sponsorships. Every single dollar of high-margin profit goes to a bank account in Switzerland. But surely, the politicians argue, the sheer scale of the event brings an economic boom to the host nation. This is the great myth of the multiplier effect. And in 2026, the United States is about to learn a very expensive lesson in capital expenditure, or CapEx. The narrative for the 2026 North American World Cup was built on sustainability. The pitch was simple. Unlike previous tournaments, North America already possesses the greatest sporting infrastructure on Earth. There is no need to build new stadiums. This is technically true. The United States has a plethora of billion-dollar, state-of-the-art NFL stadiums. But there is a fatal flaw in the architecture. They are NFL stadiums. They are not FIFA compliant. A standard American football field is narrow. A regulation FIFA football pitch is significantly wider. To fit a World Cup pitch inside stadiums like MetLife in New Jersey or SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, you cannot just paint new lines on the grass. You have to fundamentally alter the concrete geometry of the lower bowl. Millions of dollars in public and private funds are currently being spent to physically demolish the lucrative front-row corner seating in these billion-dollar arenas just to widen the playing surface by a few meters. But it gets worse. Under the host city agreement, the stadiums must provide exact quotas of VIP hospitality and media seating. The existing luxury suites, the ones that local NFL owners usually monetize, are completely taken over by FIFA. In many cases, temporary walls and bespoke corporate lounges must be constructed at the host city's expense. This is the infrastructure levy. The host city is legally obligated to spend tens of millions of dollars modifying a perfectly functional modern stadium to meet highly specific, arbitrary FIFA regulations. And who monetizes those newly constructed luxury suites? Not the stadium owner, not the city council. FIFA sells the VIP packages for tens of thousands of dollars per ticket and keeps 100% of the revenue. The city pays for the hammer, the nails, and the concrete. FIFA drinks the champagne. It is a public expense for a private profit.
To fully grasp the cynical brilliance of the 2026 model, we must contrast it with the ghosts of the recent past. Look at Brazil 2014. Look at Qatar 2022. In Brazil, the government spent an estimated $15 billion of public funds building massive, unnecessary stadiums in locations like Manaus, deep in the Amazon rainforest. Today, those stadiums are rotting. They are white elephants, monuments to political hubris and municipal bankruptcy. They host amateur games or service bus depots. In Qatar, the state spent an unfathomable $220 billion on total infrastructure to host a 4-week tournament. Those were exercises in nation-building and geopolitical vanity. The host nations absorbed catastrophic financial losses for a fleeting moment of global PR. But the 2026 World Cup represents an evolutionary leap in FIFA's business strategy. It is the ultimate arbitrage. FIFA realized that forcing developing nations to build stadiums from scratch was becoming a PR liability. The optics of corruption and human rights abuses were threatening their corporate sponsors. So they pivoted. They moved to North America. By selecting the US, Canada, and Mexico, FIFA entirely outsourced the immense multi-billion-dollar capex risk of building stadiums. They are simply renting developed nations for free. They do not have to worry about concrete pouring on time. They do not have to worry about construction worker casualties. The infrastructure already exists. And yet, despite taking zero construction risk, FIFA is still demanding the exact same draconian terms. They are still demanding the tax holidays. They are still demanding the sovereign guarantees to cover the operational expenditure of the tournament. They have successfully detached the cost of the event from the profit of the event. FIFA's profit margins for 2026 will be the highest in the history of international sports, precisely because they have managed to socialize all the logistical costs while entirely privatizing the $11 billion commercial yield. We have reached the bottom line of the audit. The politicians who sign these host city agreements will stand at podiums and talk about the economic legacy of the tournament. They will present highly optimistic, deeply flawed economic impact studies commissioned by PR agencies. They will tell you that the tourists will flock to the local restaurants and the hotels will be fully booked, but the empirical data from macroeconomists tells a very different story. The regular tourists stay away to avoid the chaos. The hotel revenues are often locked in to pre-negotiated discounted rates mandated by FIFA for their corporate partners. The temporary influx of spending immediately exits the local economy and lands in Zurich. The World Cup is a brilliant, flawless business model, but only if you are the one holding the whistle. For the host city, it is a masterclass in financial self-sabotage. It is the only real estate transaction in the global economy where the landlord, the taxpayer, actively pays the tenant for the privilege of having their property occupied, modified, and commercially restricted. The circus will arrive in 2026. The confetti will fall. The television ratings will break records. But when the final whistle blows and the $11 billion has been safely wired to Switzerland, the host cities will be left holding nothing but the sweeping brushes and the security invoices. Class dismissed.